Whew. Graphic designers, you have made it to the last of our tutorial videos, unless you are gutsy enough to go on to the advanced tutorials. But in this one, we're going to be talking about how to zoom in on your image, as well as how to adjust your different objects so that it looks like they are in shadow as opposed to bright. So we'll go into all that stuff too. Now, this is probably my favorite of the sticker scenes, and that is Toy Story. So now we have the toys are trapped in preschool. How will they escape? So this one really could utilize all of the skills that you learned from the other tutorials all in one scene here, but we're going to focus again just on two, and that is zoom and adjust. Now, because these are toys, they're going to be very small, so that means we're going to get very detailed in what we're trying to do in this scene, and things are going to be very small, like we said. So, first of all, how do we zoom in on our slide? Well, up in the toolbar here on the left side, you have a little magnifying glass with a plus sign in it. That is your zoom tool. So when you select that, you'll notice now that your mouse has become that same little tool, the little magnifying glass with the plus sign. And when I click it on an area, it is going to zoom in to that space. This is probably almost too zoomed in, but that's okay. I'm just going to show you how detailed we can get in our tool here. Now, if I just keep clicking it, it's going to zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and that's just not going to help anybody. So at some point, I have to hit escape to exit out of the zoom tool, or I have to come back up here and select my select tool or the mouse. Now, if I've gone too far, I can come back to the zoom tool and do the little drop down next to it. And I'm going to click fit. That's kind of like your reset button, if you will, where you go back to viewing the slide how you originally saw it. So at any time, if you're like, oh, I need to back out again to see what it all looks like, that's how you would reset the slide to see everything. So I'm going to click the zoom tool one more time here, and I'm going to go in on this mat again. And that's actually pretty good right there. And I can just hit the escape key, and you'll notice that my cursor goes from the little plus sign back to a regular cursor. Okay. All right, so I'm going to bring over a few of our friends here. And you'll notice you might have to do a lot of scrolling to the left and to the right, up and down to find your different characters. And let's say we're going to use Forky here. So I'm going to bring him in. And obviously he's way too large right now. So I'm going to size him down. And based on the pose he's made here and the picture, you can see he is very bright compared to the rest of the image here. Now, if he was hiding behind this shelf and didn't want a kid to come and grab him, he's probably going to be a little bit in some shadow, right? Because of the bookcase that's near him here. So we're going to try to adjust the brightness of our character or the image of the character so that he blends in a little bit more naturally with the scene. Now you see, since I've made him smaller, it's a little harder to see him. So I'm going to go back and use that zoom tool again. And actually, let's go all the way in here. So again, you see now I'm so zoomed in that the background image is a little grainy or fuzzy, and our main character here is still looking pretty good. So now we're going to adjust what he looks like just a little bit as far as the brightness and the light that's kind of shining on it based on the picture here. So I've got him selected, and then I'm going to go up and select this menu here that says Format Options. When I do that, it's going to open a whole new right side menu panel for different things that you can do with your image. I'm going to be looking, though, for a couple things. I'm going to look at adjustments and drop shadow. Now, drop shadow is a really cool feature because it actually makes it look more 3D and it kind of pops out from the scene. So you see already by just checking that one little box, he goes from having no shadow behind him to having a shadow behind him. So that's pretty cool. And from there, you can adjust those So you can play with all four of these categories. Transparency just means how much kind of misty it is, if you will, that you can see through it or not. Angle just means where it's casting the shadow based on where the light is. And then distance, how far away the shadow is. So you see here, if I adjust this, now the shadow is down underneath him on the mat, so that won't work. And then as I slowly drag the slider here, you see the shadow goes a little bit everywhere, right? So I'm going to say, let's leave it about there. And then with angle, when we do that, it's going to just change where the shadow is located compared to the rest of the figure. And again, just keep dragging it around until you're like, all right, that looks good. And then you can always come back out from the zoomed in look to see that most of these details you may not even catch, but that's okay. If you're a perfectionist like I can be, you get really detailed with it. All right, so that's just drop shadow, but I want to adjust the image itself because, again, you look at him and he's very bright compared to the rest of the background image. So that's where we're going to go up to just adjustments. Say that 5 times fast, just adjustments. All right, in adjustments, we're going to go to where it says brightness. Now, right now, it's on 50%. So if we go brighter to the righter, you see that he's so bright you can't even really see him, right? It's like a spotlight is on him and it's just washing him out. But if I go back towards the bottom here, or the left side, you see he gets a little darker. So it looks like he's naturally part of the scene compared to where we started from. So if I make him just a little darker there, and you can play with the contrast as well, that just kind of adjusts the brightness with it too a little bit. All right, so just kind of play with it, see how it looks. If you just get totally out of whack and you're like, that doesn't look good at all, you can always hit the reset button here and it takes it back to whatever the original setting was. But now that I've played with it just a little bit, I'm going to close out this menu and I'm going to zoom back out just to see how it looks in the overall scheme of the scene here. So I hit that little drop down menu and I'm going to go to fit to reset where it looks. I'm going to deselect the character and now you can see he almost blends in perfectly, like he's part of this picture. So cool, right? So that is using the zoom and adjust features within Google Slides here. Whew, that's just one character. Imagine if I did this kind of stuff with all of the characters in this scene. Well, I know what I'm doing for the rest of the afternoon. We will talk to you guys later, and I'm going to get busy making my own little toy story here. So see you later, guys.